Hey guys, it's Chris, and I'm back with James from Daily Use of Sports Trivia, and we're going to do something a bit different, at least for us.
Yeah.
We're usually doing Q&As together for Game of Thrones. We are going to talk about Game of Thrones, but we're going to talk about death.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the best death scenes, the saddest death scenes, the goriest death scenes.
Yeah.
We're just going to have a morbid discussion about Game of Thrones death.
Dracarys.
Come along for the ride and then throw in some that we missed because I know we're going to miss some.
Oh, sure. And also, really quickly before we get started, a big shout out to Geek Fuel for sponsoring today's video. And if you're not familiar with Geek Fuel is a cool nerd-based subscription box service, and you can check the link in the description below. If you sign up through my link, geekfuel.com/smokescreen, you will receive a Game of Thrones item in your first box regardless of what month and theme it is. So be sure to check them out. So yeah, let's talk about some Game of Thrones deaths.
So hold on. You get the normal theme of the month, but that first one,
Yeah.
it'll be that
Plus a Game of Thrones bonus item, which changes over time, so it can be different things.
That's cool.
So yeah, and there's been some pretty cool bonus items.
There has.
So what are we going with? What are we going with first? Deserved death.
Deserved death.
Okay, so we'll do our top 5 or however many we get to.
I want to start.
Go for it.
My first and most deserved death is Ramsay Bolton.
I would agree. Yeah,
Really?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of people that deserve to die, but he was by far the worst. The
Yes.
worst asshole in this show.
He was. And you know who I thought the worst was? For the longest time, I thought it was Joffrey.
Yes.
And then
and then
you
Ramsay,
told me, though, there's going to be somebody comes along.
Right. You know, Ramsay made Joffrey look like a damn Boy
I
Scout.
know, man. I couldn't believe that. But his death was rewarding in so many ways. It was the fact that Sansa got to do it.
Yes.
And
She
his
was finally in
hounds-
control.
Yes.
She was finally in control of something, which was the whole point of her little arc there.
And then how it was his hounds that did it.
Yeah,
you know?
and he
I
had
love
previously
that.
used them to hunt down people, you know, probably more than we saw in the show, obviously. But we saw the one girl get hunted down, and it was satisfying.
Who else? Who would be on your list for satisfying?
I guess, you know, right up there with Ramsay would be Joffrey for me. Joffrey was a cunt.
He was a cunt.
He was a bastard, and he got what he deserved, especially with the whole... it was ironic that he was making Tyrion be his wine bearer, his cup bearer, and then that's the way he got it via Olenna and Sansa's necklace. So
That seems like a lifetime ago, don't it?
it was. It was a long time ago.
And
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Tyrion. in
But,
that
you know,
scene.
that's the thing. It's odd, you know, and of course it's fantasy. You know, you don't wish anybody ill will, but in that show you do with people like him, and I enjoyed every minute of the suffering. Is that bad? Does that make me Pinhead?
No, because he did suffer for quite a while, didn't he?
I'm like Pinhead from Hellraiser when it comes to him and Ramsay. you know, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
You could do a good Pinhead, like Halloween costume. I've always thought Darth Maul for you, but no, now that you mentioned Pinhead, you make a good Pinhead.
Yeah.
I would say another one that really jumps out as me as well-deserved is the response to probably the biggest holy shit moment for me in the show, and old man Frey.
Yeah, that's right.
Seeing him
That's right.
die at her, by her hand.
And her telling him that the last thing you're going to see is a Stark looking down at you.
Yes.
That was absolutely that's up there too. That's up there
I
too.
really like that because remember when I watched that Red Wedding?
Yeah, I was watching you
I was
watch the
scarred
show.
by that for a
Yeah,
while.
exactly. I was watching you watch the show, which we were talking about having a camera on you at the time, and everybody wanted to
Yes.
see that. You know, be sure to film James while he's watching the show.
And you
we
tried, it was dark.
we did a couple times. We did, and it was way too dark.
I
'cause
wish that was on film. Wow.
Yeah, that was well deserved for sure. And that's the biggest thing. That's too, as far as the show goes and the lore, or as far as the actual world of Ice and Fire. That's the biggest thing you can do is break guest right. So it even means more in the show than it does to us just as fans.
What do you mean by that? Like, if you're having somebody over for a meal or
Yeah, that's
something,
like a
you don't fuck them over?
Right, regardless of their in as long if you offer them, you know, hospitality,
Right.
And you establish that guest right, no
You
matter
don't
who
use
they
it
are.
as a bait.
Exactly.
I see.
And that's
that
kind
is
of an
dirty.
old god thing, you know,
Okay.
and it goes into some of the lore, and that's the biggest thing. Bran even told the story about the rat cook. That's what came about the rat cook. You know, Walter Frey got the Frey pie. They did it a little bit different in the show, but the point being that Bran brought that up, which was foreshadowing Arya doing that to him, cutting his sons up, putting it in the pie before she slit his throat. So she enjoyed that.
That is horrible. Here's your sons.
Exactly. And he was like,
Start digesting them, and I'm gonna kill you.
So we heard the story from Bran. We kind of knew that was coming in a way, but I didn't think they would actually do that on the show, but they did. So it was cool.
I'm not trying to take all these, but I've got a couple. That jackass.
Which one?
Remember when Arya? You had a nickname for him. They were in like a little pen, like a pig pen, and he would pull the kids out and torture them or something.
Oh, the tickler.
The tickler.
Yes.
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 That was a good one. I
that's
like
true.
seeing him die.
Because even when people didn't honestly know the information he was looking for, he was going to kill him regardless.
Yes.
And that was under the orders of the Mountain, and that shows you what an asshole he is.
Good point.
And he's a bastard in the books too, even worse.
Really?
So yeah. That'll be something I look forward to regarding the tickler and his whole crew. The Mountain's crew there would be his death whenever that happens. His second death, I should say. Because technically he's dead. He died, right? I mean,
yeah.
We got Zombie Mountain now. Yeah, Sir Robert Strong, no longer the Mountain in the books anyway. But I look forward to that.
I do too.
And me and Ho were talking about that, and that would be cool if Tyrion did it. The biggest motherfucker in the show and the smallest little...
It would be too cool.
Like Jonah.
Tyrion has the balls to do it.
Somehow,
You know?
maybe you can chop him down.
Always, you give me Tyrion or Sam. Kill the Mountain.
Right.
That would be awesome.
Exactly. Find a way to do it. But in that case, it may take a dragon. He's too damn big and strong. I'll throw in another one that deserved was Krasnus, the guy that Dany bought the Unsullied with. Well, when I say bought, with Drogon.
The jackass that was
speaking Valyrian the whole time. She pretended she didn't know Valyrian the whole time, and showed what he was being a bastard to her, calling her a bitch and everything.
Names. Yeah, I remember that.
And never knew that was her mother tongue. And then when that led to the best scene. I'm sorry, it's got to be in the top 3 best scenes in the whole show. Yeah, it just when they play that Targaryen theme, and then she turns around and says Dracarys. And then that music kicks in, the hair stands up on your damn arms.
I'm horrible with names. I'm not terrible, horrible, but I'm pretty bad. Who's Lysa?
Lysa was Jon Arryn's wife.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Littlefinger's mistress.
Did you think she deserved to die since she was in on killing
absolutely.
Jon Arryn and everything?
Yeah, I love that scene. I just did the foreshadowing video on that episode.
Oh, really?
And I played the death scene. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I played the death scene and then put the little clip of Arya laughing when she finds out the news, where she does that little giggle with the hound, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, she absolutely deserved it because her and Littlefinger were responsible for all this shit.
Right.
I mean, Catelyn acted on it, but it was set in motion.
It was set in motion by them. Yeah, because not too long ago you were blaming Catelyn, but I see what you're saying.
Right.
She acted on it.
She acted on it without any proof that it was Tyrion as far as the dagger. She just took the dagger as the gospel from Littlefinger, but he set in motion the whole thing with bringing Ned up there in the first place to kill Jon Arryn.
Can you think of anybody else that really, really, really deserved it?
Everybody on Arya's list deserves it in some way.
That's a really good point.
Meryn Trant especially. Meryn Trant's a cocksucker. He beats women, and he's a pedophile. And they kind of showed that in the show when he kept saying too old every time they brought in a whore in the brothel there. So he definitely deserved it. He's a bastard. He was the one that was torturing Sansa the whole time for Joffrey. And Tyrion stopped that a couple times.
I do have another kind of another one. As far as like a group of people dying and deserving it, I thought the people that Dany had nailed up on those posts.
Yeah, the Masters.
Masters, because there was kids up there before, right?
Yeah, exactly. They came when she was marching to the city and all that. After she left Astapor, they were up on crosses trying to warn her.
So that's like a big mass murder that needed to happen, I thought.
Right. So she said, same treatment.
Yeah.
You know, an eye for an eye.
Jinx, man.
But yeah. I mean, there's a lot of there's probably a lot more we're not thinking of right now, but there's a ton of deserved.
What about worst ways to die?
Man, that's a tough one in this show. I think beheading's the best way to go in this show, in this era, I guess you could say. It should be quick and clean. I think one of them that stands out is Mance Rayder burning at the stake. Now, in the books, it's not Mance Rayder, it's Lord of Bones. But either way, burning alive,
yeah,
Shireen.
That was horrible.
Anybody being burned alive like Shireen or him that's got to be.
For the record,
because
you're
his
character a lot.
Yeah, and he's still there in the book, so the canon is still you know he's going to serve a little bit bigger purpose, I think. But yeah, I mean that's got to be horrible.
And Shireen, is that the little girl?
Yeah, that's Stannis' daughter.
Terrible. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Also, the snow could melt, and maybe she may have contributed to some of the magic with Jon's rebirth, but we don't really know. They didn't really confirm that.
Now,
Stannis definitely got Father of the Year for that one.
One that I don't think you really know anybody personally, do you? That gets the flayed man or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't like in season 5 or season 6. When we were doing predictions for those and stuff, we were all wondering who's on the crosses because they kind of trolled us, and they do this in the off season.
Right.
They kind of said you're going to know a couple people is going to be flayed and burned by the Boltons, and we were all trying to figure out who it was. And I was looking at a close up of one of the shots, and one of them didn't have fingers or didn't look like it. They could have been curled in, but I was thinking, oh no, Davos.
Yep.
You know,
they did troll you,
but nobody ever got named. Just like they brought out Shay is another one. Shay was another good death. She deserved it.
Remind me.
Tyrion's girlfriend, or Tyrion's that he loved, and she was all up, about him until it was time for his trial.
Yes, dude.
And then sold him out and lied on him and everything, knowing the truth. God, and then was in Tywin's bed, and he goes in there and strangles the shit out of her.
I loved it, man.
So that was a sad story, though.
To go back to the flayed thing, is it just skinning alive? I mean, do you know the actual process? The person is alive?
Yeah.
And nail them to that X-looking thing, right?
Yeah, right.
And just start peeling their freaking skin off while they're alive.
Yep, that's their myth. And there's a long history in the books between the Starks and the Boltons, and the Boltons were actually the last to withstand the Starks when they took over as kings of winter in the north back in the golden days. But they used to be like mortal enemies and would wear Stark skins.
Shut the hell up.
So anyway, that's where their banner came from and all that, the flayed man banner. So they're a northern house with northern customs, except for they were a little different in that regard.
Yeah.
They wasn't honorable like the Starks or any other house up north as far as that goes.
Because kind of like you said, we saw Ned behead that guy. Right?
Right.
Okay, that's quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Following the law.
Yeah. Now, then you got the Boltons who can look a man in the eye,
right,
peel his skin off while he's screaming, or have somebody do it while they watch, or whatever,
Right.
That's sickening. Now, for me, maybe the saddest, the worst way is that golden crown. I can't remember Dany's brother's name.
Viserys.
Yes. Man.
Yeah,
that was one of the most shocking, the earliest shocking moment for me.
Yeah, that was one of the first. That was one of the more creative deaths. I liked it still as one of my probably top 5 creative deaths.
It is.
There's ways to go because the key there was that via the rules of Vas Dothrak, they can't spill blood in their sacred city.
Right.
So that was their way around it, melting gold and
he kept wanting a crown.
He kept wanting his crown, and they named that
demanding it.
They named that episode the Golden Crown, or a Golden Crown.
That was, imagine how that looked after everything dried and the gold hardened again and everything.
Right. And that hardened a little quick, but it was for TV.
Yeah,
it was for TV.
Go up and look
so that was one of the coolest deaths for sure. And Viserys, he was an asshole. But he wasn't as bad as some of these other characters.
No, he was a snotty-nosed brat.
He was a brat, yeah. And he did sell his sister and say some bad shit, but he really didn't do anything horrible except for kind of sell her into slavery, not slavery, but to Khal Drogo. But that's what enabled her to become the true dragon. That was the
I don't
whole
know
theme
what-
of that little series there.
He was like a pimp or something.
Yeah,
to
right.
his own sister.
Yeah, it was a means to an end for him to get his throne back because he was entitled to it.
Tell me, like, you got one top worst
Way to go. Anything where I'm not going to die instantly.
Yes.
I honestly think burning alive would be, or some. Because you're probably alive for a while.
That would, yeah, you're right, because going back to the Golden Crown, he probably died pretty quick. Your brain starts boiling.
Right.
Your eyes pop, and you're going to die quick.
Yeah, and according to the show, it did.
But when Mance, the fire starts and it builds up, and it's just...
Yeah, and he got put out of his misery by Jon Snow with the arrow.
That's right.
But, we saw Miri Mazdur when Dany had hatched the dragon.
Yeah, I was
she
thinking about her.
full-fledged burned alive, and that was what did it. That was the blood magic. That was the fire and blood.
Man,
And she was she was straight up screaming. And after she had told Dany, "You won't hear me scream," she said, "I will."
Oh yeah.
she screamed for a while. It wasn't quick. So that or any kind of torturing. I mean, Theon, like you said,
he
didn't die, but he wanted to.
Yeah, that's as bad as it gets without dying.
Yeah, I think so.
What did you? Speaking of him, when we actually talked about death scenes, this came to my mind pretty quick. Was when Theon tried to behead that guy.
Yeah, Sir Roderick.
Man,
with the little ass blade,
like a bigger sword or something.
Yeah, he just started hacking, and he knew he fucked up.
Yeah,
that was the kind of beginning of his oh shit. What am I done? What have I done?
It came over
because
his face.
he had to show out in front of his men to gain their respect, which they never respected him anyway. They were never going to until Yara made it happen, or Asha in the books. But yeah, he hacking away at Sir Roderick, horrible. The sound,
yes,
the thud, bad stuff. But that's why we like our violence fake, kind of like wrestling.
Exactly.
It's fake. They're fine.
Now, do you think about when you think about bad deaths? Would you think about Hodor? What did he get? Eaten alive, ripped apart?
Yeah, basically. I mean, he kind of just bled out, I would think.
Probably, yeah.
But I mean, it's by far the saddest death for me. If we get into saddest deaths,
that is a little category we could do. A subcategory.
Yeah, I mean, by far, that's my saddest death so far.
Is it really?
I think so. Yeah, because this guy was the simpleton who we saw how it happened. He was a normal kid. He was growing up at Winterfell, had a good life, so seemingly good life, and Bran and
he had to be used as a
tool. And Bran didn't mean for that to happen that way, but the wires got crossed with the vision and everything, and he saw his own death, and he went out like a champ. But man, that was horrible. And that was not just Hodor; that was Summer and Hodor back to back.
Yeah,
the wolf deaths are horrible too.
Good point.
I feel.
I know what you're saying, man.
I feel bad for them more than I do some of the people.
Yeah. 1-1.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad because at least in the show. Now again, this is going to probably be different in the books, but he was the last one, the last of their. They stated in the show he was the last of the giants, and so you got now apparently in the show. I don't know if the show will have any more children. In our theory we have the God's Eye theory.
So, yeah.
But in the books, there should be some left, but we don't really know. And it probably will end the same way, where there are wiped out.
The way he looked at Jon and everything, on his knees or whatever. That to me, that one could have.
And that was one of the gripes I had though with the Battle of the Bastards was that it didn't have to end that way. You give him let him go pull up a tree.
I remember.
We were talking about this. I love that battle. It was one of the best shot scenes. Gail Sampoznik, and it was one of the best scenes in the entire show. Definitely the best battle because you're following Jon through all that shit. But 1-1 with no weapon, come on. We saw him do it at Hardhome.
I know.
With the flaming telephone pole.
Yes. It should have happened that way.
Yeah.
Before anything happened.
Before he even ran out on the field.
They could have customized a log with a blade.
Right, and we saw Mag, fire the bow and arrow in a previous season and watch it on the
giant
wall.
Bow and arrow.
Yeah, he was like, dude land on the other side of the wall in Castle Black.
Yes.
I mean, they...
Like a Cam Newton pass.
It was just... Yeah. exactly. Overthrown, but hard, but overthrown.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, but it was that would have taken the odds over to their favor in a sense, and they had to have it where it was like, okay, they're about to lose until the Vale rode up and saved them. So I understand why they had to do it, but realistically, that didn't have to happen.
Okay, so you came up, you said Hodor, and I said 1-1. What another sad one? There's got to be some more really.
Yeah,
sad
I mean,
ones.
Ned obviously is one of the top. Ned's
Ned
a guy
is
you
sad.
learn
That is-
in the very first episode, and that's what set the tone for this show. When nobody believed it, they thought, wait a minute, something that ain't right. That was a flashback, or
Yes.
when you first watch it, because no show or writer kills off main characters, but this one does. So Ned, any Stark for that matter, although really, if you think about it, Robb was sad.
Yeah.
Catelyn, I didn't mind so much, honestly.
Right.
Catelyn's she's my least favorite character. I've said that before.
I'm gonna tell you one that might shock you, one that you wouldn't think would be sad, because it's Tommen.
No, I agree with that.
Do
I do,
you?
yeah, because Tommen wasn't a bad kid.
He
Tommen
was not.
was thrown in a shitty position.
He was really, his heart was torn to a million pieces,
Right.
and he said, "Screw it, man."
Yeah,
Check
I
that.
had no issue with Tommen whatsoever. I felt bad for him the entire time. As soon as
Okay.
Joffrey died, I knew, I kind of had in my head that he was going to be thrown in this thing between his mother and being the king and being so young, and his grandfather pulling in on this, and all this stuff.
I don't care
And,
what his last name is. He's
right,
a
right.
Lannister.
So
So
right.
it seems like you can't feel bad if a Lannister dies, but I
Yeah,
did.
yeah. I mean, just like if Tyrion would die, you'd feel horrible.
Horrible.
I mean,
man.
because he's the normal
I'll
kid.
screw it. I'll feel bad if Jamie dies too.
Oh, I will do now for sure. In the
Yeah.
first season, you would have loved it. That's what's so
Exactly.
crazy
You're
about
right.
this show. That's one of the great things about it is like Jamie.
I remember
just-
saying, "This guy's a cocksucker," and you were like,
Yeah,
Just keep watching.
Yeah, exactly, because you go through these roller coaster of emotion with these people, and they have these redemption arcs, and some don't, and some get worse, and some get better.
"Yeah."
And they change. And in the first season or two, I would have laughed at it. Now, no, I want him to stick around and go join the Starks and save the realm again, like he kind of did with King's Landing.
He seems like he might be heading that direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I still think it's going to be, for a prediction, I still think it's going to be, him killing Cersei and saving, King's Landing from the Queenslayer, or from the Mad Queen this time. But, there's been a lot of foreshadowing hints about them coming into the world together and going out together. So, he saves the kingdom one more time, or at least King's Landing one more time, and maybe he goes, maybe he doesn't. I would love to see him, head up north with what he's got left of an army and join Jon and Dany.
So,
In that sense, everybody's Azor Ahai, right? Like I've been saying, it's not one savior. It's one person kind of, as far as Jon goes, getting everybody together, but, it's everybody working together. That's what it's going to take.
so Tyrion killed his mom and his dad, technically,
Technically, right.
and Jamie would technically kill the twins if he did a murder-suicide thing.
Yep.
I want to see those two become really tight, like I know they can, and both of them survive this damn thing. I know that's going off away from this death talk. But I'm talking about surviving. But,
Right. No, yeah. I'd like to see it. I doubt it, but I'd like to see it.
And when you were talking about sad, and you mentioned, and I know I'm horrible with names, but the little girl,
Shireen, yeah.
that has to be up there with Hodor.
Yeah,
and all
absolutely.
them.
And not even just the scene itself, just her walking up to the scene
God
and seeing the
damn right.
damn pole and wondering and realizing what was about to happen. And then her dad standing right back there as he comes out,
Yes.
and she's screaming for her parents, and all for what? Prophecy.
Oh man, that's terrible. But Davos, he's mourning enough and pissed off about it enough
Yep.
for everybody.
And we'll see. Melisandre, she realized she was wrong, but at the same time, Davos don't care.
Hell no.
And if she does come back up north, whatever, and you know, she's prepared to die. She believes in this so much, what she's doing, what she's saying.
Good point.
You know, she'll accept it. I think. You know, I don't think Davos would be the one to do it if she does go. As far as a season 7 prediction, if she does go, I mean, it may be Arya, because they will meet again. Anyway, guys, I think that wraps it up. That'll do it for this video, so let us know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And a special shout out to my executive Patreon smokescreen producers, Griffin, Volguy10, Lala Gig, Kissa Powell, Marc Joseph, aka The Snow in Winterfell, and Marylin Bentley. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and make sure you click that notification bell beside the subscribe button to get notified when I drop a new video. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you